Hey teacher, your small group is boring.
Baby, let's hurry up and get into it so we can get out of these boring small groups. Hey, y'all, my name is Dr. Tanisha Barclay with TGB Inspired Solutions, and I'm here to stop these boring groups from hurting these kids. So, what you're going to see today is me putting together a few things so that we can get these small groups interested and engaging. So, listen. If you got kids fighting you because they don't want to come to your small group, we got to fix that. Small groups do not have to be boring and grueling. Before you can start any kind of small group, you need to make sure, baby, that you have set clear expectation and rules for how they should behave when they come back to your small group, because otherwise it will still not be engaging. You need to make sure that you've established the rules for engagement and involve students in those processes. What do they want the small group to look like? Before we can concern ourselves with, is this small group boring or not? We're going to have to decide how are we going to group these kids and make sure that there's a rhyme and a reason to how we're pulling them. Is it purposeful? So the best way to do that as an educator for me has been to use my data. And I collect data during instruction on what we call clipboard cruising. So I cruise around the classroom and I'm listening and I'm observing and I'm asking questions and I'm documenting and seeing who knows what. And based on that data, I can pull my small group. I can group kids into different groups based on their academic needs, maybe their learning styles, and even their interest. And all that is data I have pulled from formative assessments. Now, while you're planning those small groups, you better consider that there are some social dynamics at play. The best thing you can do is make sure that you have a balanced group of kids to ensure a diverse mix of personalities, strengths, and weaknesses. Now, I do understand that we're going to have to be flexible as we fix in these boring small groups. And we're going to have to recognize that group compositions and the way that we made these groups, they may have to change throughout the year, throughout the weeks, throughout the months, throughout the days, because these students evolve. So here we go. Let's get into it. We're about to create a supportive and engaging small group led by the teacher, as the other students may be filtering through stations that are timed. So they're engaged too. But for this moment, we're talking about our teacher-led small group. The first thing we're going to have to do is make sure that we have a designated place just for our small groups. Now listen, you can't be floating around from group to group calling yourself a small group. That is not a designated space for a small group. You need a kidney table or a table that students can come to you, and they will receive any type of support they need in that particular area. Now, once you get your kids back there, you've got to make sure that you are facilitating student interaction. You got to encourage your kids to interact with each other, share ideas, ask questions, and give each other feedback. That's how you're going to facilitate interaction. If they're not interacting with each other and they're only interacting with you, it is what? Boring. I have found that when I highlight positive interactions and celebrate positive interaction within the group, I'm reinforcing those desired behaviors. When I tell them, you are doing a great job, babe, they love it. And you know what I hear them say to me?
Hey teacher, your small group wasn't boring today.
When I hear that, I know I'm making progress. So the next thing, and one of the most important things that we have got to do to keep these groups from being boring, is finding and incorporating a variety of activities. Y'all see this book right there? This book is about bugs. I don't want to read about any bugs, but I know that this struggling reader loves bugs, so I picked 2 books that he would love to read to incorporate into his small group time. But I didn't just stop there. I knew we needed to take this lesson and 2.0 it to keep it from being what? Boring. So I found some colorful cards that we would include into his interactive notebook that would also serve as a way for us to be able to go back and reflect on his learning. So we took out some of his cards that he uses in his interactive notebook, and we pulled those out so that we could continue and work within his interactive notebook as a way for us to track his learning and track some of the things that he has done previously. Again, that is more formative assessment. Now, you know, I didn't just stop there when I was trying to find a way to get this particular student actively and engaged in his learning. You can see the excitement on my face. Bugs and bugs on bugs. Look at that. Look at that bug. So as we are reading the book and as we are looking at the pictures, we are pulling out these bugs and we're looking at these bugs and we're taking these bugs and we're comparing them to the pictures and what we have read in our book. And we might even go so far as to match the bug with what we see in the picture. Now that may or may not be gross to you or me, but it is an actively and engaging lesson. We may hot glue it to one of our popsicle sticks and take part of the book or a writing piece that we have done, and we may even glue that to our popsicle stick as well. Look at that. Actively and engage. I don't think these kids can call this lesson what? Boring. Now, as you're still continuing to plan your small groups, plan the lessons that your students can be working on and actively engaged in, and incorporating that into your whole group as well as taking it back to your teacher-led small group. It is so important. The final piece is to continuously and regularly assess the effectiveness of your teacher-led small group instruction.